I never thought I'd be the kind of mother who wasn't invited to her own daughter's wedding. Even now, saying those words out loud feels like a punch to the gut, a wound that refuses to close. For months, I'd watched from the sidelines as my only child, Emily, planned the biggest day of her life. Each update coming not from her lips, but from whispers and social media posts I wasn't meant to see. The ache of exclusion was sharp, but nothing compared to the silence that followed. The empty space where our conversations used to be. I replayed every memory, every bedtime story, every scraped knee I'd kissed, searching for the moment things changed between us. Was it something I said? Something I missed? The questions haunted me, echoing in the quiet of my empty house. Friends tried to comfort me, but their words only made the loneliness more real. I was the mother of the bride, and yet I was invisible. But just when I thought the pain couldn't cut any deeper, my phone buzzed with a message from Emily. My heart leapt. Maybe this was the olive branch, the apology, the chance to mend what was broken. Instead, her words stunned me. "Mom, can we use the beach house for our honeymoon?" The same beach house where I'd taught her to swim, where we'd built sandcastles and shared secrets under the stars. She wanted my blessing, my generosity. After shutting me out of her life's most important moment, I stared at the screen, torn between heartbreak and disbelief. What would I do? And what would you do if you were in my shoes? Because what happened next changed everything. If you had asked anyone who knew us, they would have said Emily and I were inseparable. From the moment she was born, it was as if the world had shifted and everything revolved around her. I was a single mother, and she was my sun, my moon, and every star in between. Our little house was filled with laughter, inside jokes, and the kind of warmth that made even the hardest days feel bearable. I worked long hours as a nurse, but no matter how tired I was, I always made time for her bedtime stories, pancake breakfasts, and our sacred Sunday walks along the beach. Our beach house wasn't just a vacation spot, it was our sanctuary. I bought it after my divorce, scraping together every penny so Emily would have a place to feel safe and free. We'd spend hours collecting shells, racing the tide, and talking about everything and nothing. She'd confide in me about her dreams, her fears, and even her first crush. I was her confidant, her cheerleader, and I thought her best friend. As Emily grew older, our bond seemed unbreakable. Even through the awkward teenage years, when most girls pull away from their mothers, she still came to me with her secrets. I remember the night she got her heart broken for the first time. She crawled into my bed, sobbing, and I held her until she fell asleep. I promised her then, as I had so many times before, that I would always be there for her, no matter what. But somewhere along the way, things began to change. It was subtle at first, a missed phone call here, a shorter visit there. She started dating Mark, a charming, ambitious man who swept her off her feet. I was happy for her, truly, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I was losing her to a world I no longer belonged to. Mark's family was different from ours, wealthy, close-knit, and, if I'm honest, a little intimidating. They welcomed Emily with open arms, inviting her to fancy dinners and family vacations. I tried to be supportive, but I often felt like an outsider watching my daughter slip further away. The first real sign that something was wrong came during the holidays. Emily spent Thanksgiving with Mark's family, promising she'd make it up to me at Christmas. But Christmas came and went, and all I got was a hurried phone call and a box of cookies left on my doorstep. I told myself she was just busy, that this was what adulthood looked like, but deep down, I felt the sting of being left behind. When Emily announced her engagement, I was overjoyed. I imagined helping her pick out a dress, planning the bridal shower, and standing by her side as she started this new chapter. But as the months passed, I realized I was being kept at arm's length. She shared fewer details, avoided my questions, and seemed uncomfortable whenever I brought up the wedding. I tried to brush it off, blaming stress or nerves, but the distance between us grew wider with every passing day. Looking back, I wonder if I missed the warning signs. Maybe I was too eager, too involved, or maybe I just didn't fit into the picture she was painting for her future. The Emily I knew a little, girl who once clung to my hand on stormy nights, was slipping away, replaced by a woman I barely recognized. And as her wedding day approached, couldn't shake the feeling that I was about to lose her for good. But nothing could have prepared me for what was coming next. The first real crack in our relationship appeared on a rainy afternoon, just a few weeks after Emily and Mark got engaged. I'd invited her over for coffee, hoping to catch up and maybe talk about wedding plans. I baked her favorite lemon scones, set out the good china, and even lit the vanilla candles she loved as a child. When she arrived, she seemed distracted, her eyes glued to her phone. Her responses clipped and polite. "So, have you thought about venues yet?" I asked, trying to sound casual. She barely looked up. "Mark's mom has a friend who owns a vineyard. We're probably going to do it there. It's just easier." Asterisk, I nodded, forcing a smile. "That sounds beautiful. Will you need help with anything? I'd love to be involved, you know." She hesitated, her fingers tapping nervously on her mug. "I think Mark's family has most of it covered. His mom is really into planning. I don't want you to feel like you have to do anything." The words stung more than I let on. I tried to brush it off, telling myself she was just overwhelmed. But as the weeks went by, the distance between us grew. She stopped coming by as often, and when she did, she was always in a rush, always on her way somewhere else. Our conversations became surface level, filled with safe topics and awkward silences. One evening I called her, hoping to catch up. The phone rang and rang before she finally answered, her voice muffled and impatient. "Hey Mom, can I call you back? I'm at dinner with Mark's family." I waited for her to call back, but she never did. The next time I saw her was at a family gathering for my birthday. I'd invited a few close friends and relatives, hoping Emily would stay for the whole evening. But she arrived late, Mark in tow, and spent most of the night glued to his side. When I tried to pull her aside for a quiet moment, she seemed uncomfortable, glancing over her shoulder as if she couldn't wait to leave. "Emily, is everything okay?" I asked quietly, searching her face for some sign of the daughter I knew. She forced a smile. "Of course, Mom. I'm just tired. There's a lot going on with the wedding." I wanted to believe her, but I could feel her slipping away. After they left early, my sister pulled me aside, concern etched on her face. "She's different, you know," she whispered. "I don't think it's you. I think she's just changing." Asterisk, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being replaced. Not just by Mark, but by his entire family. They seemed to have everything I didn't. Money, connections, a picture-perfect life. Emily started talking about their traditions, their vacations, their way of doing things. She'd say things like, "Mark's mom always does it this way," or "That's not really how Mark's family celebrates." Each comment felt like a tiny rejection, a reminder that I no longer fit into her world. The final straw came when I offered to host her bridal shower at the beach house. I imagined filling the rooms with laughter, decorating with seashells we'd collected together, and sharing stories with her friends. But when I suggested it, she hesitated. "I think Mark's mom already has something planned," she said, not meeting my eyes. "She wants to do it at their country club. It's just easier." I tried to hide my disappointment, but I could feel the tears burning behind my eyes. "Of course, whatever makes you happy." She hugged me, but it felt obligatory, her arms stiff and her body tense. As she pulled away, I caught a glimpse of guilt in her eyes, but she quickly looked away. That night, sat alone in the beach house, listening to the waves crash against the shore. I thought about all the memories we'd made there, all the promises I'd kept. I wondered if she remembered them too, or if she was too busy building new memories with someone else. The misunderstandings piled up, each one heavier than the last. I tried to reach out to bridge the gap, but every attempt seemed to push her further away. I was losing her piece by piece, and I didn't know how to stop it, but I had no idea just how deep the rift would become, or how much it would hurt when the final blow landed. Asterisk, it was a Tuesday afternoon when the truth finally shattered. What little hope I had left. I remember the sunlight streaming through the kitchen window, smell of coffee lingering in the air, and the way my hands trembled as I opened the mailbox. Among the usual bills and flyers was a thick, cream-colored envelope addressed to the Johnson family. My heart skipped. Maybe, just maybe, it was an invitation. Maybe Emily had been waiting for the right moment, or maybe it had all been a misunderstanding. But as I slid my finger under the flap, my breath caught. Inside was a wedding invitation, embossed with gold, but it wasn't addressed to me. It was for my sister and her family. My name was nowhere to be found. I stood there, frozen, the world tilting beneath my feet. I read the invitation over and over, searching for some mistake, some hidden message, but the truth was clear. I wasn't invited. I called my sister, my voice barely above a whisper. "Did you get an invitation to Emily's wedding?" There was a pause, heavy with guilt. "Yes, I did. I thought you knew. I assumed you'd already talked to her." The words hit me like a slap. I hung up, numb, and stared at the invitation on the counter. My own daughter was getting married, and I wasn't even allowed to witness it. The betrayal was sharp, raw, and all-consuming. I thought of all the moments I dreamed of zipping up her dress, fixing her veil, holding her hand before she walked down the aisle. All of it gone. I tried to call Emily, desperate for an explanation. The phone rang and rang before going to voicemail. I left a message, my voice shaking. "Emily, please call me. I just want to understand. I love you." Days passed with no response. I replayed every conversation, every argument, every moment I might have failed her. Was it something I said? Was I too controlling, too protective? Not enough. The questions circled endlessly, each one cutting deeper than the last. Word spread quickly through the family. My mother called, her voice trembling with anger and confusion. "How could she do this to you? After everything you've done for her?" My friends reached out, offering sympathy, but their words felt hollow. No one could understand the ache of being erased from your own child's life. The worst part was the silence from Emily. No explanation, no apology, just a void where our relationship used to be. I watched as photos from bridal showers and bachelorette parties appeared online, each one a reminder of the life I was no longer part of. I saw her beaming in white, surrounded by Mark's family, her new family, and I wondered if she even missed me at all. At night, I lay awake, replaying memories of her childhood, the way she'd run into my arms after a nightmare, the way she'd beg me to stay just a little longer at bedtime. I wondered how we'd gotten here, how love could turn into something so painful. The family was divided. Some blamed Emily, others blamed me. Old wounds resurfaced, and every conversation seemed to end in tears or accusations. I felt isolated, ashamed, and utterly lost. But even in my grief, a small part of me held on to hope. Maybe she'd call. Maybe she'd change her mind. Maybe there was still a chance to fix what was broken. I didn't know it then, but the real test of my love and my boundaries was still to come. Because just when I thought I'd lost everything, Emily reached out with a request that would force me to choose between forgiveness and self-respect. And nothing could have prepared me for what I would do next. The days after discovering I wasn't invited to Emily's wedding blurred together in a haze of disbelief and sorrow. I moved through my routines like a ghost, haunted by memories of a daughter who now felt like a stranger. Every room in my house seemed to echo with her laughter. Every photograph on the wall a reminder of what we'd lost. I tried to keep busy gardening, cleaning, even volunteering for extra shifts at the hospital. But nothing could fill the emptiness that had settled in my chest. Grief is a strange thing. It sneaks up on you in the quiet moments when you least expect it. I'd find myself reaching for my phone to text Emily about a funny patient or a new recipe, only to remember that she wasn't speaking to me. I'd see mothers and daughters shopping together at the grocery store, laughing over produce, and feel a pang so sharp I had to turn away. I wondered if she missed me at all, or if she'd already replaced me with Mark's mother, who seemed to have stepped so easily into the role I once held. My family tried to rally around me, but even their support was tinged with tension. My mother was furious, unable to comprehend how Emily could be so cruel. "You gave her everything," she'd say, her voice shaking. "This isn't right." My sister, on the other hand, tried to play peacemaker, urging me to reach out, too. Forgive, to keep the door open. "She's young, she's confused. Maybe she just needs time," she'd whisper, as if hope could mend a heart that had been shattered. But not everyone was on my side. Some relatives hinted that maybe I'd been too involved, too protective. that perhaps Emily needed space too. Become her own person. Their words stung, planting seeds of doubt that grew with every passing day. Was I the problem? Had I smothered her, made her feel trapped? The questions gnawed at me, making it impossible to find peace. I tried more than once to reach out. I sent Emily a letter, pouring my heart onto the page, apologizing for any pain I'd caused, and begging for a chance to talk. I left voicemails, each one more desperate than the last, but she never responded. The silence between us grew heavier, a wall I couldn't climb then. Just as I was beginning to accept that I might never hear from her again, my phone buzzed with a message. I stared at the screen, my heart pounding. It was from Emily. "Hi, Mom. I hope you're well. Mark and I were wondering if we could use the beach house for our honeymoon. It would mean a lot to us." Asterisk for a moment, I couldn't breathe. After months of silence, after shutting me out of her wedding, this was what she wanted. Not a conversation, not an apology, but a favor. The audacity of it left me reeling. I read the message over and over, searching for some sign of remorse or affection, but it was as cold and transactional as a business request. I wanted to scream, throw my phone across the room to demand an explanation. But instead, I sat down at the kitchen table, my hands shaking, and tried to make sense of it all. Did she really think I would just hand over the keys to the place that held all our memories after everything that had happened? Did she believe? My love was so unconditional that I would ignore my own pain for her convenience. The family's reaction was immediate and divided. My mother was livid. Absolutely not. She can't treat you like this and expect you to just give in. My sister, ever the diplomat, urged caution. Maybe this is her way of reaching out. Maybe if you say yes, it'll open the door to reconciliation. I didn't know what to think. Part of me longed to say yes, to use this as a chance to rebuild our relationship. But another part, the part that had been bruised and battered by months of rejection, wanted to say no, to finally put myself first. As I sat there, torn between love and self-respect, I realized that whatever I chose would change everything. The next move was mine, and for the first time in a long time, I had to decide what I truly deserved. I stared at Emily's message for hours, my mind spinning in circles. Every instinct I had as a mother screamed at me to say yes, to give her what she wanted, to prove that my love was bigger than my pain. But another voice, quieter but growing stronger, whispered that I deserved more than to be treated as an afterthought. I'd spent my whole life putting Emily first, sacrificing my own needs and dreams to make sure she felt loved and safe. Was it really unconditional love if it meant erasing myself completely? I thought about the beach house, how every corner held a memory of us. The faded blue couch where we'd watch thunderstorms roll in, the kitchen where we'd baked cookies late at night, the porch where she'd told me her secrets. It wasn't just a house. It was a symbol of everything I'd built for her and for us. Could I really hand it over for her honeymoon, knowing I hadn't even been allowed to witness her vows? Asterisk, I called my mother, hoping for clarity. "What should I do?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. She didn't hesitate. "You have to protect your heart, darling. Love doesn't mean letting people walk all over you. You've given enough." But my sister saw it differently. Maybe this is her way of reaching out, even if it's clumsy. If you say no, will you regret it? Or will you finally feel like you stood up for yourself? Their words echoed in my mind as I walked along the beach that evening, the sky streaked with pink and gold. I let the waves wash over my feet, grounding me in the present. I realized I'd spent so much time trying to be the perfect mother that I'd forgotten to be kind to myself. I deserved respect. I deserved to be seen, not just needed when it was convenient. Asterisk, I sat on the porch, watching the sun dip below the horizon, and let myself feel the full weight of the decision. I could say yes, hoping it would heal the rift, or I could say no, risking that it might push her further away. Either way, I knew I couldn't go back to the way things were. Something inside me had shifted as I drafted my response. My hands trembled not with fear, but with a strange sense of peace. For the first time in a long time, I was choosing myself. I didn't know how Emily would react or what it would. mean for our future. But I knew I couldn't keep giving pieces of myself away. I hit send, my heart pounding, and waited for the fallout. What happened next would test everything I believed about love, forgiveness, and the boundaries I was finally learning to set. The moment I sent my reply, a strange calm settled over me. I had written, "Emily, I love you, and I always will. But after being excluded from your wedding, I can't in good conscience offer the beach house for your honeymoon. I hope you understand that this isn't about punishment, it's about honoring my own feelings and the memories we share there. If you ever want to talk, my door is open." I read it over and over, making sure it was honest but not cruel, loving but firm. For the first time in months, I felt like I was standing on solid ground. Emily's response came the next day. It was short, almost businesslike. "I understand. I wish things were different." There was no anger, no apology, just a wall of distance that felt both familiar and final. I cried when I read it, not just for what I'd lost, but for the hope that maybe, just maybe, this would be the moment she realized I was more than just a resource to be used. I grieved the daughter I once knew, the closeness we'd shared, and the future I'd imagined for us. The family's reaction was mixed. My mother hugged me tightly, pride shining in her eyes. "You did the right thing," she whispered. My sister was more reserved, worried that I'd closed a door that might never open again. Some relatives called me brave, others called me stubborn. But for the first time, their opinions didn't sway me. I knew I had acted out of self-respect, not spite, in the weeks that followed. The silence between Emily and me stretched on. I missed her every day, but I also noticed something new, a sense of lightness. A freedom from the constant ache of trying to fix what I couldn't control. I poured my energy into friendships, into my work, into rediscovering the parts of myself that had been lost in motherhood. I spent weekends at the beach house, letting the ocean heal me, remembering that I was whole even without her approval. There were moments of doubt, of course. I'd see a mother and daughter laughing together and feel a pang of longing. Wonder if I'd made a terrible mistake, if I should have just given in one more time. But then I'd remember the years of giving, the pain of being invisible. And I'd remind myself that love without boundaries isn't love, it's self-erasure. Slowly, the family found a new equilibrium. Some relationships grew stronger, others faded away. I learned to accept that not every story has a tidy ending, and that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is let go. I still hoped that one day Emily would reach out, that we could find our way back to each other. But for now, I was at peace with my choice. In choosing myself, I discovered a strength I never knew I had. And in the quiet that followed, I realized that sometimes the greatest act of love is learning when to say no. Looking back, I never imagined my journey as a mother would lead me here, to a place where love and boundaries had to coexist, where letting go became an act of self-preservation rather than defeat. I spent so many years believing that unconditional love meant sacrificing my own needs, that being a good mother meant always saying yes, even when it hurt. But I've learned that real love, the kind that endures, is built on respect both for others and for ourselves. It's easy to lose yourself in the roles you play: mother, daughter, caretaker, peacemaker. I lost sight of the woman I was before. I became Emily's mom, and it took heartbreak to remind me that I am worthy of kindness too. Setting boundaries wasn't about shutting Emily out. It was about honoring the years I spent building a life, a home, and a love that deserved to be valued. It was about teaching her and myself that love doesn't mean accepting pain without question. Healing isn't linear. Some days I still ache for the closeness we once shared, but I also feel a quiet pride in the woman I've become, someone who can stand in her truth, even when it's lonely. I hope Emily finds her own strength, her own understanding of love and forgiveness. And if she ever comes back, I'll be here, not as a doormat, but as a mother who knows her worth. To anyone listening who's been hurt by family, who's struggled to find their voice, I want you to know you are not alone. It's okay to choose yourself. It's okay to say no. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is honor your own heart. And who knows what happens next might just surprise you.